way back when I was a student, it was not the case. First of all, we never had internet like this. Not that I'm very old, but internet was definitely not like how it is available now. And then the quality of disclosures also has improved significantly. And the kind of disclosures that the companies are expected to make is phenomenal. So what you need is to know is to open the right document and make sure you do that. So we'll come back to that again. So once you do that, once you investigate, so I let me make it a little simple. I'm sure all of you get into binge watching. I don't know how many of you have seen this Bad Boy Millionaires on Netflix. There are three episodes in that. One is on Vijay Mallya, one is on Nirav Modi, the other one is Subrata Roy. All these three are investigations based on financial statements. I mean, people let me take just Kingfisher's example. Why am I talking about it? Kingfisher's Vijay Mallya, when this has happened, of course, I was teaching at IFM Business School. Those days we had access. Just before that, I published a work on mergers and acquisitions in aviation industry. So in aviation industry, if you look at it, there's always that a major player acquires a smaller player. That was those days when Deccan was taken over by Kingfisher. Deccan is a very Bangalore-based those days, So, when this has happened, of course, Vijay Mallya or UB Towers is also Bangalore-based. So when this has happened, and then when there were, huge costs, and then it was such a visual delight to travel by Kingfisher. And of course, slowly we saw that they're not paying salaries. It was getting into losses. Then I was curious. I did this research. Disclosures were available those days in terms of annual reports, but financial statements were somehow very poor, not really good like how it is now. So I saw that most of the expenses that they were quoting were actually leasing expenses, and then that leasing expense of those aircrafts also was to some fake companies. Not that it was just out of cost, but if you see the episode on Netflix about Vijay Mallya, it gives you a different perspective, which is also true, but it's slightly neutral. But if you try to look at it, one of the major costs that was incurred by this company was the leasing expenses, like Paris Leasing Company in Paris. And then you get to see, and then they actually address there is no such company there. So it's not that they have just incurred costs and then they lost because of the huge cost of aviation turbine fuel in this particular thing. It's also that they try to cook up, and then siphon funds and have spent money for a lot of other things. And of course, aviation is a very, very expensive thing. So everything came up together, lack of ethics, intention to siphon funds, and then going extravagant about, certain unnecessary costs, not really controlling the costs, and then also, trying to cook up books of accounts. So multiple components, it's just not one. So anyway, I'll talk about such other experiences a little later. Why am I telling you this is we just tend to undermine that BCom job or commerce is very not so, unless you have a professional degree. No. You will eventually get into degrees. You will eventually get into corporates. You will eventually get into good jobs. You're all too young, but it's time you started. You must appreciate that the institution is insisting on this. So for your age, don't think that, I'll do it later. No, maybe with your tiny lens, you can start looking at what you're already learning, some of these things. But please be honest and genuine and think that this is a fantastic chance for you to tell a story about a company based on what you have learned, right? And then let's see how we get into this. Examples of our business research, research projects or business research projects. If you type in Google, you'll get tons of projects. Why should I do something? Can a faculty make out that if I Google it and then put it and then submit it, can a faculty make out? Of course, yes. Even if a small assignment is submitted by a student, which is completely Google and then, Control C, Control V and then paste it, your faculty can make out. Keep that in mind. Let's understand some of the examples of a research problem that I look at it. What kind of problems will I take up as a social science student or a commerce student? Now, if I say, why is there a lot of employee turnover? Or why is there huge employee costs? Maybe it's a service-based company. Maybe the company depends on huge intellectual capital, or maybe there's whatever reasons. Even if you talk about turnover, various reasons related to that. Similarly, major costs incurred by FMCG companies. Now, Recently, I
Students,
did
good
one
morning.
work for my classroom discussion. It was a FMCG company. I took HUL.
Good
My
So
morning.
I
inform
wanted my
others. We are
students
waiting
first
for
to
the students.
understand,
I
okay,
sent message to
FMCG, all
sir.
of
Sir
us know
is
that
ready
it's a
to join.
fast-moving consumer
Just
goods,
once
right?
students are
We know
gathered,
that
we
there
can
are
start second day of
different companies,
workshop.
and I took this
Inform
Hindustan
others in
Unilever.
the
First thing that
WhatsApp
I wanted
groups.
my students to understand is
Any
what
one A
are the
students
various
and one B
brands that this
students are
company
there.
sells. Then we saw that right from quality ice cream to Cornetto, this company
Ananta
First
sells.
year
ma'am,
students.
Lipton to
Yes,
Yeah,
ma'am.
Taza
Harit
to Taj Mahal chai,
and
this
Ritika
company
ma'am.
can you
sells.
start the
Brook Bond
recording for
also
this
is sold by
meeting,
this
ma'am? I'm
company. Green
recording in the
Label
other meeting,
coffee
ma'am.
pot is also sold by this
Now,
company.
can I record? You
Then
tell me
Boost
just
also is sold by
Ma'am,
this
the three
company.
dots in the
Lifebuoy to
side went
Lux to
down.
Ponds is also sold by
one
this
second.
company.
One second.
So there
Yeah.
are around 40
Click on that, you will
brands.
find record
People may
meeting.
think that okay, he is using Lifebuoy, I'm
Report
using
share
Lux.
screening
We are
turn on
different. No, no.
captions. No,
Please
no
understand,
recording
you
is
are
there, Ritika.
dealing with the
Settings में
same
है क्या?
company. It's
नहीं
part of
मैम,
the
साइड
same
में थ्री
segment,
डॉट्स are there, no
segmental
मैम.
revenue
ये
which
Yes,
देखो.
generates.
down three
Yes,
dots are there. I click the three
this is your
dots.
choice, and that is their
Second
choice.
Share
option
And
में.
screen,
company is smart enough to offer
turn on
various
caption
things. It has
settings,
got its
Fine,
report
ma'am.
celebrities
I'll record the
as
meeting. No
brand
problem,
ambassadors
ma'am.
for
Okay,
Lux,
okay.
and it has
No
got
recording
some
option is there.
I'll
a
record,
kid
ma'am.
or
Fine. Thank you,
they
Ritika.
also
No
sometimes
problem,
show a
ma'am.
rustic environment
Students
where
inform
somebody is
others,
using a
na.
life
Let
voice
them join
stove,
fast so that
little
you
stronger and
learn
rustic
more
kind of
and
an
more
environment.
things.
But then all this is the same company
Inform
and is the
others,
same
1A section
strategy,
and
but then
1B
targeting to
section
different
students first
segments.
year
So
inform in
isn't
the
it
group.
very, very interesting to dig deeper and
We
understand? So
expected
this art of
more than
storytelling,
100, but you people
sky's the
yesterday
limit,
attended
guys.
very
Don't,
less.
yes, I understand. Research
You are
means that we
not
have
utilizing
labs,
the
and if we try
opportunity,
to mix
students.
certain things or we come out with some
Because almost sir
real
is
scientific things,
covering
yes,
full
that is
Word,
one. But
MS
we have
Word and
chosen
full
to
MS
be in
Excel.
our another area,
So
and
it
this
is a
area
good
is no
opportunity
less,
for
and
you that
most of
certificate
the
also in future when you
frauds
go for
happen
placement, it
because
is
of
valid.
vitamin M or
So you
money
don't know
or
because you're
numbers
writing
and
test, you're not
finance. So
receiving
that
participation
is
certificate,
a
you're
great
receiving
source for
completion
us to
certificate. It's like a
see if
course.
there is some interesting information in the
So six
company,
hours
if there's
means
some,
like
if there are some interesting
it is
disclosures. Can we
add,
dig
it will
them?
add to
Can we
your
raise a red
resume,
flag? Can we say
students.
that these are my
Inform others, it
observations?
is only
Yeah. Now, should
17.
I become really
First
old to
year,
do all
second
these things?
years,
Can
A
I start
section,
it
B
young?
section,
Of course,
inform
you can
others,
start
let
it
them
young.
join.
Now, another
I
example that
opened
I can think of
even
is which
registration
sector
link
performed
also.
well during
New
pandemic.
students can register
Is it
and let
automobile
them
sector?
join.
Are the automobile set? Was the Is it that the pharma sector is doing so well because people are just buying medicines, or is it that FMCG sector is an evergreen sector? People will consume these things irrespective of pandemic or no pandemic. Yeah. So what is it that I will do? So I need to have that inquisitiveness. No? But how will I get into this? These are some of the examples. I'll be coming to these things again and again. I'm just thinking, telling you what could be your research models. I'm not telling you what is the definition of research, what are the types of research. No, 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 no. That will, you'll figure it out. You're all very smart. You Google University will help you to learn all that. Again, why should I do a research project? Of course, it's an academic requirement to complete the course. You will do that basically to complete your academic requirement. But to me, these are the benefits. Apart from St. Joseph's College requirement, to me, these are the extremely important benefits which you can take away with you. One, you can explore areas much deeper. But which area will you explore? Maybe you have a favorite topic, right? Maybe you have a favorite subject. You don't know the topic, but you know that you like this particular subject. Maybe you'll explore that. Maybe you like taxes. Maybe you like something on banking. Maybe you heard a subject called NPS in banking, or maybe you've heard something called, IND AS, Indian Accounting Standards, or maybe you've heard something about cash flows, or you find something interesting, right? Now take that. Now, okay, you'll explore that and understand. Suppose then you work on something. Maybe whatever you have worked, which is your own genuine work, you can think of publishing it in a local magazine or your school magazine, or whatever it is. You can, with the help of your faculty, you can slightly polish it and then think about that. You can apply this with pride in your CV. And then when you talk about with your potential, suppose say you want to take up a job after your graduation, and then you have this interaction with your potential recruiter, you can definitely have this conversation around the area that you worked on. So these are all the benefits of your research project that you're getting into. Don't just think that, yeah, it's a requirement, let me download something, let me bind it up and then submit it. Yeah, fine, maybe you'll pass your course, or you'll complete the requirements of your course, but to me, you're missing an interesting opportunity which can give you these different benefits, which are definitely, somebody if is trying to judge you on your abilities and capabilities, and if you can, successfully strike a conversation based on your work that you have done, I'm sure that you can you can have your own unique identity. You can present yourself rather than some 100 people going and talking and then talking the same thing. No, 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 you can say, hey, this is what I did, and then this is my report, and this is my learning, this is my observation. You can have this conversation for 10, 15, 20 minutes. Somebody talks to me about Kingfisher Airlines, I have tons of stories to tell. Similarly, if somebody talks about the SEBI project that I did, of course, I did not do it when I was in my BCom. I did it recently in 2013-14. But I'm super happy that, and whatever I did was not from some, access to mutual funds inside. No, no, no. I took only data that was published by these asset management companies, and I worked on this, and that's how I published. Of course, that was a huge work. And then SEBI, I'm sure you all know, SEBI is a market regulator, right? SEBI will not accept even a single line without a proof. Every line has to be given a proof. And there were around 6,000 schemes that I analyzed. Why am I telling you this? It is possible in commerce, it's possible in finance, and then we have an advantage of really spending a lot of time with accounting statements. So that's our forte, that's our strength. So don't undermine, make the most of it. Okay, let me. Fine, research projects, this is what you're going to do. What exactly is this? So I want to pause this. You have a slide also which tells you. Let me go back here. Is there somebody who would like to unmute self and then add something here? Do you agree, disagree, or do you see any other benefit? Or is there something else that I should add here? Or is there something else, something that I should remove because it's not possible? What are your views about this, guys? Hello? Are you typing? Oh, you'll have to talk, okay? Please unmute yourself and talk.
Ritika ma'am, are you here?
Good morning.
Good morning.
Ma'am, there's another
Please
benefit that I
accept
would
the
like to
sir,
add.
no?
There are a lot of universities abroad that
Sorry,
consider
just sir
research
called.
work as experience.
If he is logging in
Correct.
with the meeting,
Right.
somebody should accept. Okay, so
Yes.
Right.
he said host should
Okay,
accept.
definitely. I mean, for you to pursue further
But
education,
I
higher
don't
education,
know.
not
Sir
just abroad,
said
even if you want to do it in
I'm
some
not
good
getting
schools,
the host
and then when
access,
you
ma'am. I
put
don't know
apply
why.
your CV,
I will
and
call
then you
sir
are part of this
and
GDPI, and then
let you
yeah,
know.
even when in your personal interview, when they have conversation about what is it that you have done, you can always talk about this as well. Right, definitely. Anything else? I want some students to talk. Is there something that you disagree with me, whatever I said so far? Or do you have a different view?
No, ma'am, we agree with you.
Okay. Is there something that you'd like to add here?
Ananta ma'am, just wait. I know what is the issue. Just give me
Yes,
a
whatever
minute. I can
someone said
accept,
just
sir.
now. Yes, it'll also be a part include in your CV so that it helps you whether you go abroad or whether you pursue your education here. It helps you, or you apply for a job. Yeah, definitely. Then anything else? What? Okay, fine. Let me. We'll come back to these questions and interaction. Then we'll discuss different areas and topics. Okay. Let me take you through this. So, fine. What is business research? Is research in sciences and is research in commerce and finance, is it all the same or is it different? So let's see. We are talking. Yeah. Sorry. Hello.
Ma'am, it's completely different. Business research and
Somebody's talking. If they're not talking to us, they can unmute themselves. Yeah, business research and scientific research is different. Are you trying to say that?
yes.
क्या
Yeah.
मैं तो अभी को 5 मिनट कुछ काम करेंगे तो थोड़ी देर डिस्टर्ब मत कर
Right.
भाड़ में आएगा के मैसेजेस
So fine. So when we'll talk about
हाँ मेरे को
scientific
मालूम है रुक
methods and
जाती
research. Science research, the research related to sciences is different, but there are
मैं
scientific
वही कोशिश
methods
कर
in
रही ना
research which can be used even in business research. So we'll talk about that. But let's see now here. We are talking about including idea and theory development. What's the broad idea that we
Ritika,
have?
sir
Are there some
joined
theories?
itself. Please
Are we
accept
trying to
now.
say or extend the theories or
Anantha,
develop the
give me a
existing
minute, ma'am. I'll
theories?
accept him. Just
Is
give
there a
me
problem that, can we
Yeah,
develop,
yeah.
create a problem in that? And then once you identify the problem, can we search for information, collect the information and then analyze it? And then
Students,
once
all
we
of you
analyze,
asked, it's already
then
12
we
students,
articulate and
second day of the
communicate the
workshop.
findings
The
and their
remaining
implications.
word
Can we also come
concepts
out with the
which are
limitations of our
useful
own
for
study?
you in the PG
Can we write a
level
report around this?
project when you're doing
So
references, how
again,
to
I'll
do
come
it,
to
and
this.
other video
Ultimately, it's
lectures.
all findings.
Through the word,
All
how you
findings are
go
tied back to
for
underlying
Excel
theories. This is very, very
presentation,
important.
videos,
Suppose,
all
say, for
the word
example,
yesterday sir
let's stop
explained.
this
And today I asked
academic thing
sir
and
to
stop and then discuss an
explain
example.
the remaining
Suppose, say,
concepts, and all of
you
you
want
make
to
a
sell,
note of it.
you want to do a study
Whatever it
on
is there, you make a note of it.
potential clients,
Anantha, ma'am, did sir join, ma'am?
or say there is a new brand of,
Right, my joint.
Yeah,
say
sorry
there is
for
a drink,
disturber, sir.
COVID, for
It's
which
okay,
will
madam.
build
Sir,
immunity if you drink that. There is a
good morning,
kashayam
sir.
type.
Good morning, madam.
Okay, there's
Welcome
a
to
product
second day
which is like a
workshop.
green tea. If you open
The
that, this is a real
remaining
product.
today,
Okay,
are we
don't
going
think
to
I'm
finish
cooking up
word
a story.
concept,
This is a
sir?
real product. The
Yes,
product is called kashaya, which is
Okay.
available. It looks
Students,
like a
all of
green
you,
tea sachet.
so only
You just
31
have to
are
dip it in
there.
hot water,
Just 5 more
and then
minutes we'll
they
wait, sir. In
started
the
giving
meantime,
these
you just recap it. The
distributed these
yesterday
samples
topics
to
what we
people who
covered.
visited a
In the
small
meantime,
organic
students will
store.
join, sir.
Sure.
Then they wanted to do
Okay,
this
sir.
whether
Thank
people
you.
will come back and use it, and then people who use this sample, those who started liking, of course they'll buy. Now somebody wants to go home
good
to
morning,
home
everyone.
and then give this
Yesterday we
sample
finished
and
this
then
home. You see in this font
study on their
and
preferences related
space,
to some
spacing
drink,
between
okay, or
paragraphs,
medicine or
different styles of
whatever, this
font,
herbal drink, let's
and
call it.
different things
And
can be
then
hit on.
you develop a story. What is this? Okay,
And
you're
we see
doing
some
this,
of
you'll
the
write a
insert
report. But
options,
please understand,
links, online comment, header,
this
footer,
report
and
can be done in two different ways. One
okay.
is you're
And
just
apart
doing a
from this,
sample, you're
today we'll
putting
go with
it,
the
you write the
symbols. You
name of
can
the
see the
drink, you
symbol is
write
the
the
equations.
talk about COVID,
Oh, just a
you can
second.
talk about advantages, then you do a survey, you collect, you get the questionnaire, and then you submit the results. That's so and so many people are interested in buying this. But is that the objective? So always we should look at what is the objective of what is the business problem? What kind of study do we want to do? That clarity should be there. We cannot just go on just because somebody gave a sample and I cannot say that, okay, let me do a study on
We are
kashaya
seeing
or this herbal drink that is given
These are symbols.
or this sachet.
Symbols is for equation.
Then I'll have to
Insert new
say,
equation if
okay,
you want.
a new product,
Not
when it
here.
is to be
So
introduced,
sorry.
what are the
Sir,
factors to be
screen
considered?
is not
Is there a
visible,
conceptual
sir.
framework?
1 second, ma'am.
Is there a theory? What are the demographics? What kind of frameworks are generally there in, you talk about that also because you are an academic, you're a student who is into academics, right? Maybe the shopkeeper will
Yes,
do
sir.
it in a different way. I gave 100 samples. Out
So
of
this
these
is
100
like
samples which are given to customers, 30 customers came back to me and started
new page
buying.
again to
That's
show you
enough for him to
things.
talk to the dealer.
And jab we inserted.
But
We
no,
inserted
you
this
are looking at a
pi.
much bigger picture. You are trying to
Screenshot we
link
inserted. We inserted
concepts
Microsoft
to business
Office
problems and
basics.
then try to
YouTube
combine
link we
both.
inserted.
So don't look at it,
And
think
now
that it's just practice, all this is theory. No, theory is
Sir, just
extremely
once you
important.
explain
It makes your
YouTube
work
link,
very, very
sir.
rich. So you'll
YouTube
have to
link,
look
ma'am.
at
Just
conceptual
And
frameworks
that
which are
poster,
generally
one
to
of
be
the
considered
student
when you talk
asked,
about new product
this one,
development or
ma'am.
new product entry into a
poster
market.
making
What are
like
the factors
you
to be
said no
considered?
yesterday,
What are the
Teams.
Screenshot.
variables to be considered?
And
Which
YouTube
one will
link
have a
also.
major impact?
This is also.
All these things, and then
Okay, ma'am.
study on the
Okay.
demographics of person,
See,
whatever
ma'am,
data you have.
see, basically, when we
Suppose, say,
insert
for
any
we'll again
particular
talk about
link
different things.
of video,
Look at this
you
now.
can see
Yeah.
here under
What
insert
is the nature
tab, you
of your
can see
project?
under
What kind of
media,
project work do you
there is
want to get
online
into?
video.
Are you planning to solve a
Find
real
an
problem?
insert video for
That
a
is one
variety of
aspect.
online
That's what I
sources.
told you an
If you click
example
on
of a
this,
herbal
it will
drink.
ask you to enter
What
the
is the
URL.
demand
Right.
of herbal
So
drink in a
just
particular
go to
locality?
YouTube.
Is that the kind of project you want to do? Okay. Or
And
who
if
is
I
giving
want
you
to
this problem
insert,
statement? Are you giving it to yourself, or is there a company which is giving it to you, or is there a startup which is you are trying to help? You need to have that clarity. You cannot just say, let me start my research. No. First take
right,
a break,
let us take
pause,
first small
and
step
then
of
think,
this.
okay,
If
what
you
kind of
click on
project
this,
do I want to do? Do I want to do an
now you can see,
internship? I
right?
know somebody who will give me a
youtube.com
chance.
watch.
Should I do an
This is there,
internship?
na?
And
This
from that
link at
internship, should
Google
I
tab.
generate,
Just
identify certain
select that
observations?
and copy it.
Let's say
Come
there's a
back to your
startup,
Word
and
document.
then they have a website,
Enter the
and
URL
then there
or
are certain
embedded
users
code
in the
on the
website,
video.
and then
Just
suppose
click
they are
here,
into
select insert.
you know
That's it.
say for
That
example
particular
they
thing will
create a
come here.
platform of online tutoring, for
Okay, sir.
example. You want to
In
see
insert
who are
tab,
the people who are
go
actually
here,
clicking this
media,
particular website,
select,
and then
give the
out of
link,
how many
insert.
clicks and how
That's
many
it.
of them
Very
are getting converted,
Okay.
how
Next,
many
you asked me to
of them
show
are
the
using
screenshot. Na?
scholarship.
See,
Now that's
here
all
there is
one
an
kind of
icon.
study where you're trying to
Illustration.
analyze.
You can
That
see
is
there
one.
is a take a
But now for
screenshot.
this, you need to have access to
Right?
data, you need
Screen clipping has
permissions, you
come into
need the
picture.
guidance of
Now I want
the
to take
startup
some
or the
screenshot. For
corporate,
example,
so
I
that
want
it's
to
all
take this
official.
particular
That's one approach.
small thing. Just drag
Second,
it.
I don't know
And
anyone,
where you want, you can
but
drag
I'm
it.
inquisitive, I'm
You can drag
curious.
it like
I will
this.
submit a research
And
work based on
automatically
published
the screen
data.
will reflect
That's
on the
another
screen here.
approach.
You can see here.
I don't know anyone.
In
I don't
insert,
want to do only
select
published
this
data. I want
and
it to be very,
drag
very
it.
interesting. I
That's
want
it.
to see the
The moment you
qualitative
do, this will
dimensions.
affect.
I want to observe the preferences of people.
Similar way,
I want
yesterday I took this
to
screenshot.
have interactions with
The
them
same
or
way
have
today I have
discussions
taken
with them.
this particular
And then
screenshot.
I want to study certain thing
This you can drag.
which others don't know. Yeah,
Like
okay.
this.
That's again
Board
primary
screenshot. This is
data.
one
You
video.
can have a
You are
qualitative
seeing
study
today.
using primary data. But
Anything
what is
else?
it you're trying to
Do
do?
you
At
have
least
any
that
doubts
clarity should be there. You
regarding
cannot go
yesterday's
there
session?
and then say
So that
primary
we
data
can
and
go
then
with a
published
very
data.
quick.
I mean, at
Like
least you can,
banners
of
and
course, have
posters
you can
you
have a
said,
real
that
problem where
poster.
you can use their own published
Poster
data. You
making
can
can
also
be
use
done
their own
with
primary data.
some
Yeah,
example
Primary
poster
data
making
also,
can done.
right?
Banners
You
like
can have these
see
three
for
also in
example,
one. But as
you can
students
see
of
on the top.
undergrad, I would suggest you to
This is a
have
cover letter.
clarity. Do you want to club all
This is
the
a
three,
poster.
or do you want to do
MS Office program workshop I
under
have given
each?
Moksha.
I mean,
IT.
that
This
you'll
is
have
like
to have
banner I have
discussion with
prepared.
your faculty
This
mentor and then
preparation can done
decide on how you
from the
want to
page
go about.
itself. In the
So
here,
the school,
initially you can see in the left hand side
so
insert
where
page
I
is there.
work,
Na? If you click
right,
here,
we
you
also
have
have
cover
something called
page.
as request for proposals.
Okay.
So
If you
what is it?
select,
I mean, so there
you
are
can see
different
different types
approaches in
of
different schools. Let's leave it at that.
posters. You can see.
So planning your
See,
research.
if you are preparing,
Again, this is very
preparing for
important.
project,
What do you want
can
to
use
know?
of this
How do you find
MS
out
Office
what you
program.
want to know?
You can use of
Where
this.
can you get the information?
Moksha
What
IT.
do you need to ask for?
One second.
And when does
Go
your
on the top.
research need to be done? What are the timelines?
This is company name, address, what program
Now,
you done, what is a workshop.
let's talk,
This is very
for
simple.
example,
Manner. If you want to give
I
more
was giving you this example of
differently, you
HUL,
can
right?
use this.
So HUL is a company. Suppose say if I want
Right.
to know
Program.
that what are the
So
major
different
costs
cover
incurred
letters you
by
have in the
FMCG
options
companies.
under
That is my
cover
problem
page,
statement
you can
broadly.
select. This is
Now, I
one.
cannot just directly jump.
Abstract.
I'll have to see the
Basic
literature
program on
of
MS Word and
related
Excel.
to
See. You can insert any
FMCG
other pictures
companies or
also
cost
here.
benefit
Instead of this
analysis
road,
and then
you
different
can
types
take
of
any other
cost.
picture
Then I'll have
by
to get into
selecting
the
these pictures.
statements. Then I'll have to understand what is the
If you have any downloaded,
industry.
you can select.
Then I
Else you can go
realized
to online
I
also.
went
There is
into the
nothing wrong in
details
that.
of the
Online,
financial
you have to
statements
select online
published. Then I
picture
saw last 5 years
and
data.
you can change
Then I
it.
saw
For
that the
example, I
major
want to change it
expenditure
to
by HUL is that they spend in their
graduation.
advertising expenses. Now, this I did not get it directly from their P&L.
Yes.
I got it only when I looked into their notes
Now
to
you can see
accounts.
the picture has come. You minimize the size of the
Now,
picture
what I'm trying to tell you is,
to the normal size.
when you look into financial statements, I mean, for this,
Because you
what
are
do you need as
graduates.
commerce students? What do you need to open?
So
I mean,
like
this point I can relate
can
it to
insert
this.
on
Suppose say
cover page.
analysis using
So
published
different
data.
cover pages will available on insert tab.
So what kind of
Under
document
page,
can you think of
cover
opening
page.
here? I mean, what are your thoughts? Can you talk?
Right.
Some of you, I
Apart
mean, can
from
you
this, you
try
want
and tell
more,
me what
go
are your
to
thoughts about
office.com,
what
you'll
kind
have
of
more.
project do you want to get into?
Right.
We can
This
bounce
is
off
cover
our
page
ideas and then discuss about it.
Excuse me, sir.
Are you thinking of
Yes,
solving
yes.
a real problem, or do you
Sir,
want
once
to
explain
look at
superscript
only,
and subscript.
is there a startup which is going to allow you
Superscriptor
to
and
study their
subscriptor.
problem? That's
One
great.
second.
Appreciate it. Okay, you don't know
Did I told you
anyone,
yesterday
but do I
superscript
need
and
to feel
subscript?
upset about it? Not
Yes, sir,
necessarily.
you said,
I have
sir.
another area where I can find a
1 second.
fantastic thing. That is,
Font.
okay, there are these companies. I'm really curious. What kind of performance? I mean, the automobile sector was hit some time back.
This
They were
is
in a real bad
Superscript
phase.
10. This is
Now, why was it?
superscript. This is subscript.
Why did the automobile?
Right.
And then is there a
So
recovery?
here, what I
Or
can
is it that
do,
there's greater
for
demand to
example,
two-wheeler segments
let
during
me
COVID?
take one.
Or is it that there is a decline in the public transport and increase in personal vehicles, and therefore people are buying more number
X
of two-wheelers?
square
We
you
don't know.
type
I
it,
mean, you
sir,
can have
otherwise
any
X
problem
square and
state.
X square.
Just
I
because
just
you do
want
not
to
have access to a real
for
project
Make
given by
it bigger
somebody there,
font, sir.
you
Yeah,
need
yeah.
not feel upset is what
Yeah,
I'm
so
trying
that
to say.
student
You can
can-
use great published data. And then what is the source for this published data? Just only and only annual reports. Yeah, don't take 1 year's annual reports and don't expect to come out with some great work. You need to have the patience to study trends of at least 4-5 years. And that doesn't mean you put all the numbers and say it increased. That's not research, okay? You'll have to get into deeper. insights. So, is there some research idea that somebody would like to talk or test and then say, is it a project or is it not a project? Or, should we have some conversation around it? Or are you all thinking? And that doesn't mean to put all the numbers and say increase it, increase. That's not research, right? You'll have to get into deeper. So I definitely want you to think, structure your thinking around what do you want to know, how do you find out what do you want to know, where can you get this information. You need to have these questions and answers to these questions. Okay, sometimes it evolves. But at least I should know that where should I go. Not everything is always Google. From Google, you'll have to move to specific sites. What do you need to ask? And then, how is it? What is the time given to you to submit your research work? What do you need to really ask for? Even in Google, you need to know what is it that you're searching for, right? I mean, I'll get some 11,20,534 articles if I type a word. But what exactly am I looking for? I need to have clarity. I cannot blame Google for that. Or I cannot blame somebody else for that. So that you'll have to spend some time with yourself and then see clearly. So, okay, I'll just share an example. Somebody, I know this student who is studying in one of the best liberal schools in the country, Ashoka University, you might have heard. They have great projects, and so somebody approached me to guide them on a particular project. So the student actually said there are these broad areas where there's an certain interest, mutual interest. So the student came with a broad area, and then you'll have conversation, and then you will move on. You cannot directly come out with a final report saying this is my report. That means then I would like to really sit and then check about the credibility of the report, and then say, okay, what made you think? Then you should be able to answer all the questions which are around it. What kind of papers have you read related to this? Or at least, you need to have a benchmark. And then what are the conceptual frameworks? How many of you know something related to, say, cost of capital? Let's have a conversation around that. Cost of capital, weighted average cost of capital, corporate finance. I'm sure you must be having this basic thing, right?
Ma'am, sorry to interrupt. They have just started with the subject, ma'am.
Okay,
they are right now in capital budgeting.
Okay, so I'll take capital budgeting example and I'll proceed it myself.
Yes,
so I had this, I'm super happy to share with you that I had this opportunity to teach a course on corporate finance for University of London students, okay? So what is it that we did? First of all, when you talk about what happens when you are young, project is given, project life is also given to you, project cash flows is also given to you, what is the rate that you'll have to consider is also given to you. What will you do? You will discount all those cash flows, you will deduct the initial investment, and you will say, is NPV positive? Accept the project. If NPV is negative, reject the project. Or if there are two mutual projects, then whichever project has got the higher NPV, you will accept that project. Okay? That's how it happens when you are starting. Now, can you take it a little deeper and then say, okay, what are the cash flows that I'm considering when I'm talking about future? I'm talking about cash flows. I'm forecasting all this. And these are net cash flows after taxes. So that means I need to have an estimation about cash inflows, and I need to have estimations about cash outflows. Then I'll arrive at net cash flows. Then I'll also arrive at net cash flows after taxes for the next 5 years, which is expected life of the project. And then I try to discount them at a rate. And that rate which I'm considering can be your cost of equity if it is a solely equity funded project, or it can be a cost of debt if it is a debt funded project, or if it is a combination of both equity and debt, then I'll have a weighted average cost of capital. Or if there is an opportunity cost, of course, if I put this money in some other project and that project is giving me a 13% rate of return, probably I'll take that rate here to discount the cash flows, and then I may say that's the required rate of return that I would consider to discount the projects. Now, I'm talking about the same thing, right? So for every topic that we talk, there are different levels. So once you identify your own area of interest, now, can I do a capital budgeting project for a company? I cannot do it because I don't have any information. I'm an outsider. Company will not share anything. So when you're discussing a problem statement or your area, you may like corporate finance, but doing a research project on capital budgeting might not be a great idea to get into a research project. Why? Because no company will give you information about what is the amount that they are going to invest. Maybe that you can find out by, whatever. But companies will not give you information about this. Companies will not tell you what kind of cash inflows are they expecting, what will be the cash outflows. So this might not be a great area to get into a research. But now suppose if I want to find out, if I want to compare, let me say, a cost of capital, or if I want to compare economic value added, if I want to compare, whether a company is a no debt company or a high equity company, and then what is the impact of this on the, valuation of, because this is a base for valuation. Your discounting rate that you're going to learn is the base, even in your free cash flows, which is nothing but your discounted cash flow valuation model. Okay, that you don't worry about it at an undergrad level. What I'm trying to tell you is, if you like a topic, you'll have to explore and then see whether the topic works for a kind of project or not. So capital budgeting may not be a right project. But then there's a study which was done on capital budgeting. The study was, what are the popular methods of capital budgeting tools adopted by the top managers? Then they said they have compared NPV, you all know. Then they said IRR, then there is payback, then there is discounted payback also, then there is profitability index, of course ARR. So these are the methods, and then the study said that NPV is the most used method, followed by IRR. So all top managers, the leadership, they use these two words. They'll also use the word payback, whether they're from finance area or not. But in their decision making, they do this. So what was the kind of research work that was done? A study was done about using, and then a questionnaire was given, and then to all the leaders, and then somebody compiled, and then they said, I share this paper generally with my students to tell them that, whatever you're learning as a method is not outdated. Top management use this in their decision making. So don't think it's an academic method, and then better focus and learn. So that's a research work again. Okay, so you'll have to see what kind of work you want to do, have some discussion on framing the problem, and then suppose say once you frame the problem statement, you cannot directly get into solution. So first you'll have to think about what is the underlying theory, what are the frameworks related, and then you look at the alternatives, and then you'll say what is the feasible alternative, which alternative can the management take in terms of our focus, in terms of decision making, because that should be feasible also, right? I can suggest the best, but is it feasible? Suppose say I want to fix, there's a problem in my office space related to a particular corner, and I want to get that fixed. The solution which somebody is giving me should also be feasible, viable, right? I can say, why not have a floor exclusive to the later? No. I don't have the budget. I don't have the space. I have certain constraints. I want to see my folks around in the organization. I don't want to sit in some other floor. So what is all this? So your problem, your solutions have to be all related. And then for everything as an academic work, please understand, don't be very, very casual. Don't undermine. Your underlying theories and framework is extremely important. So if your faculty is asking for this information, please remember that's the best practice. Review of literature, linking your concepts to underlying theories and popular framework is a must for any academic work. If you're doing it for your business, do it however you like. But if you want to club it with your academic work and use this as part of your CV and want to get a grade, and then you want to pursue higher education, make sure you study underlying theories and framework related to that. Is there any question on underlying theories and framework when I say that? Is there any question related to that? So here, what I did is I tried to, as I said here, I tried to create 3 examples for 3 different projects. Solve a real problem using, analysis using published data, and qualitative study using published data. How do we approach? Once you get a clarity on solving a real problem, what should be the approach? You can have your own view, but I'm just putting my thoughts there. Or if you want to analyze using published data, what will be your approach? Or if you want to do a qualitative study using primary data, what should be your approach? So I have 3 slides related to this, which I want to share. So if there's a real problem for an organization, from an organization where you've been given an internship, and then they're so kind, they said, okay, I'm giving you a problem statement. Now, who is framing this problem statement? They are giving you the problem statement. You are only working on that. Or are you framing the problem statement? But if you are framing the problem statement and if it is not validated or approved by them, then it has no weightage. So when you are really looking at projects, from real projects, real entities, framing a problem statement is generally given by the employer or the manager. Student will not decide the problem statement. Why? Because the output of your work will be used by him. That's the object. So when he gives you a problem, is there a demand for this herbal drink in this locality? Assume the locality is only office going people, or assume it's just full of PGs, or assume it's all student community, and somebody gives a sample of herbal drink. Will student community care? No. Probably if they're all middle-aged or senior citizens, they'll all be very, very happy. But again, we cannot have a loose statement like this, right? So we'll have to have study on new product entry, new product development, strategies, concepts, demographics. What are the demographics considered? How did they respond? What was the questionnaire given? What was the sample given? How many of them came back? How many of them ignored? How many of them gave a positive feedback? How many of them gave positive feedback but did not buy? How many of them did not even use it? So there is all this, but is this only a questionnaire? So what kind of strategies can the company have when they are introducing a new product? Is it always a sample? Can there be a roadshow? Can there be a stall inside an apartment? Can they conduct a program followed by something else? Or can they give a talk? Can they just give flyers? Or should it be a combination of all these? Which one is leading? Can be directly attributed to increase in sales? I know, I don't know if I'm confusing you further. So you can have multiple things, So I'll come back to the simple statement. If you are doing a project based on a real problem, who is going to decide the problem statement in that project? It is your employer who is going to decide that problem statement. And then when he gives a problem statement, you don't directly work like a clerk and enter and everything. No. For him, you will do whatever he gives you. But when you want to really put it as a project framework, you will try to really link it to underlying theories and framework and look at it and then say, create a framework around it. Okay, to introduce for a new product development or a new product entry into the market, these are the strategies. And for this particular situation, what strategy was used? And in this, what are the variables considered? Which one was more effective? Which can be attributed? You try to do all this, put your data as well. Then another important thing. Then you'll say what was the solution or what actually led to which particular marketing strategy has led to increase in sales. Suppose if that's a state, for example. Right. Then you come out with a solution and then you support management in decision making. Then you'll also capture the data. You'll analyze the data. Sometimes you'll have, it can be simple percentages, it can be graphs. You can also apply data visualization tools you can use advanced tools, you can use simple Excel also. Then you will write your observations. Then you'll also discuss with your manager, not client. Discuss with your manager. And then if he is agreeing, you'll then submit a report. If he's not agreeing to your work, you'll redo the work. Right. So, but for this, you need to be honest and have conversations. You cannot come out with a fantastic report directly for the first time. You need to have conversations and you need to get into clarity. With your faculty, you need to have clarity on what is the expectation. With your manager, if he is giving you a project and your research project is based on that, you need to have conversation on what is the problem statement, what kind of output is he expecting, what does he want you to study, that. And then you will come. You cannot ask them everything and then you only do a clerical thing. No. Take ownership. Then try and see what are the concepts, what are the frameworks, what are the models, what kind of questionnaire is already available in the net. Then you try to mix and create one for the current situation. Don't directly copy. You come out with your version. Come out with your version and then check with them. This is what was done there, but I don't think that is applicable because of whatever reasons. Or if something is directly applicable, you can still tweak it, make it little better. Or you can have this conversation with your manager or your startup and your faculty and say, this is what I'm planning to do. And then you do it and then you proceed. Not having conversations at all and directly coming out with a report and getting a bad grade for that is not a preferred thing. You must have conversation with your, these conversations always help. Okay. Again, here I told you an example. Suppose I'll tell you an example. Stock prices. How many of you you had a course on markets? Financial markets? Is there a course on financial markets? Yes or no? Okay, I'll give an example. All of you, I hope you all know the word IPO, right? I'll just give you an example. Issue of number of IPOs also has got a timing. Okay, there's a bull phase in the market, there's a bear phase in the market. Maybe you can study last 10 years, how many IPOs are there, and then how many IPOs came in which sector, and what kind of gains, listing gains were given by each of the sector. You know, that can be a report by itself. There's so many topics, I mean hundreds of topics that we can think of really. But what kind of work is this? This work is purely on a secondary level. For which what do you need? You need to know how many IPOs came in which sector in each of the year, and what was the price band, what was the listing price, and what were the listing gains. And then you can say, you can do a study on that. And this is all an entire study of say last 5 years or 10 years. Can a research be published? A lot of research work is already done. But as a student level, definitely you can publish it in a smaller journal, upcoming journal, and then say, and then have this conversation around if markets is your area of interest. Any questions here? I know. I just want to pause it here. Any questions here?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Okay. Fine. I will complete this and then we'll get into some conversation again, as I said. So this is another kind of work. And then primary data. Suppose say, I want to study the preferences of millennials, the younger lot like you, if they are interested in going to theaters after they lifted, right? Now the approvals are there and then they can watch, they can go to malls and they can watch in these theaters. Would you like to go to theaters now, or do you prefer watching it over, Netflix and other OTT? So now here, is this the preferred platform? You can prepare this problem statement that can be one. But for that, what is it that you'll have to do? Is it a published data? No. Is it a conceptual framework? No. But then it's all primary data. Then you'll have to look at which media is more powerful, then influences, then what happens, and then what happens of pandemic, then impact of fear on this, decline in sales due to pandemic, even after lifting the lockdown, number of people visiting the theater. Why is it there's no increase? And then are there some places where there is increase? Are there some countries where they are going back to normal? And then in India, in different states, you can get into all this. But what are we trying to say? When you are trying to do a millennial behavior and then trying to question, maybe you can have 30 is the minimum sample, okay? Now 30 is the minimum sample size. Maybe you'll take 30 samples from Hyderabad, Bangalore, Metro, other metros, Chennai, Bombay, Delhi. You may do some questionnaire, Google form, circulate. But what are you doing here? You are trying to generate a report using primary data. But who is going to use this? Maybe you will only use this because it's your area of interest. That's fine. But have the clarity on what is it a qualitative study? Are you trying to say customers' reaction or behavior? Or is you want to study certain things? Okay. What is the objective? Are there some theories around it? Are those theories related to your area of interest? Your area of, I can do all this. Then it will slowly get into what, this movie example which I'm talking about, going to theaters. If I do this kind of study using primary questionnaire and other things, this will come out as a report there, which will be useful more in a media, visual media. And because of the penetration of OTT platforms, there is a decline in sales of tickets in theaters. In post-COVID, some kind of this influence which everybody knows, this may come out. But is this related to my degree? It's not related. So, but how do I want to project this knowledge? What do I want to say? But is this not common sense that people know this? Should I come out and do a study and then tell them that, you know what, because of Netflix and Amazon, people are not interested in going to theaters? Just think about it. I don't have an answer. I want you all to think about it. Now, this is something very, very, basic common sense. Everybody says, I know it. I don't need to do a study and prime. Sometimes, people tend to come out with, it's called stating the obvious. We need not come out with and then state the obvious, right? What everybody knows, we try to say it after doing our research. Okay, no problem. Sometimes it can happen, but try to avoid. Your teachers may still accept it, but try to avoid going into some area which is not directly related to your area of degree and going to some area and then come out with a result which is again stating the obvious. So try to probe, get into some deeper insights. Probably, okay. Investment decisions of millennials about buying a house. Maybe millennials do not want to buy a house, do not want to own a house. Why? They don't want to get confined to a space. They want to have they want to be free. They want to relocate to any place. They don't want to say my house, this thing, I've made investments. No. They don't want all that. Maybe they don't want unnecessary furniture, clutter. They want to be mobile, agile. They want to go to any place, any area. Forget COVID. Any area in the world, any place in the world. They don't want to get restricted to these things. Maybe it's a little different compared to some generation where people started working at 22, 23, and by late 20s they started paying EMIs and getting into loans and all these things. So it's a different generation. Now, do you want to study something like that? Right. Now, let me be very specific. If you want to do something on behavioral aspects, if you want to do certain, study on behavioral qualitative aspects, primary data is there. But whether you want to solve a real problem, or do you want to solve a published data and analyze, or do you want to do a behavioral analysis, that clarity is yours. You cannot go to a faculty and say, tell me what is the research project that I should do. You should never say this. That creates such a wrong impression. And never title the name first and then do the work later. No, naming the work can happen later. First you decide which approach, which path do you want to take. I'll tell you this example of again, this Bad Boys Millionaire show on Netflix. If you see that, there's this person from Canada who's an analyst who published this data and who said that, I see something wrong with this company. The sales are not much, the costs are significantly increasing. I studied their annual reports, their revenues are not really good. And once this report came, there was a dip in their share prices as well. So how did this analyst write and then cause this? It is nothing but, observation of analysts. Right? So, I don't know. I mean, because why am I taking the shows of Netflix and other things as examples? Because I feel that it works better with youngsters. Right. There's also this, the scam by Sucheta Dalal. Right. On Harshad Mehta scam. Now, this is again very much there in another platform. You must see as commerce students. That's again very, very interesting. Now, Sucheta Dalal is the first female financial journalist who made a mark with her presence, and then she is the one who actually did this case in much detail. The case of Harshad Mehta, and then she was the one who came out with all. What did she do? She always tried to publish and figure out what has happened. So, is there that kind of interest for you to probe? That's important. Please don't ask somebody, say, give me the topic, or don't go to Google and then say, download a report and then submit it. These are unethical and unprofessional. Now, once you get an idea, once you identify a problem statement, once you understand the theories related to that and frameworks related to that and start capturing data, analyze the data and observe, make some observations, also use some statistical tools and data visualization tools and try to arrive at your observations, then you write a report or then you tell a story. But broadly, the structure would be the same. But which part do you want to take? Do you want to solve a real problem for a startup and then link it to theories? Or do you want to go with a area of published data where there is so much of data? Do you want to study an industry, a sector, or a company, or certain things which are already published? That's also fine. Or do you want to see behavioral qualitative aspects? Then go to primary data, meet people, go to cluster group, have focus studies, give questionnaires. But again, that you'll have to have clarity on what is it that you want to study and which approach is very convenient to you. Somebody already with startups, your uncle or friends or somebody who's going to allow you, take it up. That's called as a practice study. That's also fine. But don't undermine the importance of these two aspects. Now, if you're somebody who's got a lot of interest in getting in studying behavioral finances further or something else further in your research, in your masters, make sure this may not really directly, immediately help you. But this will help you to get into further studies. Both, you have secondary and this. You can have conversations on all the three with your potential recruit. He will not undermine if he will definitely not undermine. Don't think that industry project is a better project. Come on, somebody is asking you supposed to sell something. That's a project. Sales, potential sales. Now during this entire thing, again you'll talk about, and you'll talk about the concepts, what are the types, what is the target segment, and then what are the demographics, then again what are the strategies, which strategy worked, which strategy did not work, what are the advantages, what are the limitations. Fine, but then don't undermine any area. All areas are equally important, and you'll have to, what are the important things? I want you to know some new words also. Any output is limited or can be enhanced by one's competencies. Now when I'm saying competency, what do I mean by this? When I'm saying competencies, competency is a very technical word. It means your knowledge, skill and ability. Or you can call it attitude also. It's a combination. One's competency defines the output. Now when you're talking about competency, if you have knowledge, you also have skill, but you don't have the ability and attitude to work. Sorry, the output is bad, result will be bad. You have knowledge, you don't have knowledge and ability, but you have the attitude. But what is the point? You need to have the patience to open and understand theories and academic frameworks. You need to have the patience to read literature related to that. So you need it in right combinations and prepositions, and you also need an ability to write a story, or you need an ability to read the numbers. You should be comfortable with financial statements, or you should be comfortable with concepts. If you don't know a concept, you should have the patience to go back to the concept, learn it, understand, and ask somebody if you have some doubts, get some real good knowledge, and then you start your work. So all this is very, very important. I'm not talking about PhD work, I'm talking about very simple work. For any work, all these are very critical. And then this last sentence that I have, benchmark with the best. Benchmark with the best. Don't ever submit something because your faculty will accept it, or you can manage it. That's not okay. Now I want to give you, I want to really talk about different examples. I know I want to talk about take some specific questions, and then I want to answer your questions related to it. Yes. Can we have specific questions, please? I can give you examples. Shall we have examples, discussion on examples, or do you have some questions which you want me to answer? I wanted some time for that specifically.
Ma'am, there's so many broad areas, so how to decide one that this can be my project topic?
So out of those so many broad areas, Priyanka, I'm sure you will have your areas of interest. It's always important to get into an area of interest. Don't take up research project because somebody gave you that. No. Try and get into areas of interest of your choice, where you have knowledge, you also have that strength, and you have liking. Interest is first thing. Suppose say I get a project in some topic, somebody said, okay, do it on bank NPS. I don't like banks, I don't want to work for banks, I really have no clue, I find that boring. Then why should I study that? Because once I take up that, I should also have the interest to read the entire literature related to that. Yes. I'm getting my point. So I don't want to take up something that I'm not interested in only. So out of those so many broad areas, identify 2 or 3 areas which are of my real interest and passion. And in that, test. What are those where you'll have to scan information for? What is
even after choosing like what is my interest, how do I come to know that it should be something related to college studies or something in general I can choose from, right?
No. Okay, let's have this conversation. Suppose say for example, markets, suppose say capital markets is your area. I'm talking hypothetically. Capital markets is your area, and then you cannot directly get into capital markets and then say what to do there. Then you need to understand what is capital markets. Then you understand that there are primary markets and secondary markets. Then in primary, you also not just have IPOs all the time. You have both equity and debt related. That is a market where companies are going for long term. Then you'll have to see, which sectors are doing. You'll have to probe little. Cannot directly understand area and jump to problem state. So for that, you need to have the conversation. So somebody who has got some doubts, you very specific doubts can always feel free to ask.
Yes.
And let me also tell you, there are certain competencies in terms of your communication, your clarity, and there is some check, I don't know whether your school does it or not. Plagiarism check is a must. Students, unfortunately, copy a lift completely from some Google internet documents and then put it in their Word documents, take a printout and submit reports. That's absolutely unethical. There's something called as a plagiarism check, which is done in all the good schools. And students who do not meet the criteria of plagiarism will not be given, will fail in the course. If they do not, if it is caught with plagiarism thing, they're actually, what do I say? Yeah, they're not okay. They're not. They cannot pass the course.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
Yeah.
Ma'am, I wanted to ask, ma'am. There are few research projects there which are done on two comparison of products.
Okay.
Which product is better, ma'am? So how do we get to know that this is the right thing for doing?
So first of all, okay, if somebody has given you this project, but this is not your area of interest, but you don't mind doing it, then it's a different thing. But is this your area of interest? Do you want to talk about it in your CV? Do you want to go deeper? So someone is giving you a project. This is again not a final PhD type also, but then somebody is giving you in an organization, they gave you two projects, products A and B, and they're asking you to compare these two products. Right? Now, if you want to do that, you can definitely take it up and do it, but you'll have to have a framework on what are the successful criteria. You'll have to see conceptual frameworks and literature related to successful criteria for increase in sales, for successful criteria for for a particular product in that particular industry. Then you'll see what are the products available in the by different companies in that space. What are the characteristics? What are the characteristics of this product versus that product? And then you need to have comparison. Right? You'll also compare it with the conceptual frameworks and theoretical models first, and then you'll do a comparative study, then you'll come out with this. But is this what you want to talk about it? Or somebody is giving it to you, and you want to take it up, okay, then if you don't want to take it up, you'll have to go with a better idea and say, this is my idea and I'm really interested and these are my views. You can always have conversations around it. That's what I want to say.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Right. So what is extremely important is bounce off your ideas, have conversations with your faculty. Please go with preparation. Do some review of literature. First thing is, what do you mean by review of literature? Review of literature is literature in the sense there are, suppose a product, 4 P's. 4 P's became 7 P's. Or let me talk about cost of capital. Or let me talk capital budgeting. There are some papers published. Any topic you take. IPOs, tons of papers are published. Tons of papers are published by companies, by different authors in IPOs. Whether IPO is an overpriced IPO or an underpriced IPO. Or, for example, if I talk about a course called, who is an intermediary in an IPO? All of you are finance students, right? Can I take IPOs example? Now, if you talk about IPOs also, you will talk about who fixes the price band. It is the investment bank. So who are those investment bankers who are there? What kind of literature is available? Is this our word, first of all, Indian word? No, it is not Indian word, it's a US word. What is the Indian word for investment bankers? It's a merchant bank. Then where are these people? Where do they come from? Okay. So who are the players? There is a lot of literature. Now, do you have that interest and patience to read the basic literature is the first criteria. Knowledge, skill, ability and attitude defines the competency, and this competency is required for a research project. But all this is not required. I'll just do something. I'll just download it from Google, submit something. My faculty gave me this topic, so therefore I did it. sorry, then you cannot have conversation with your potential recruiter and then, in layers and in depth. It'll all be very, very superficial. Right? And so what I would suggest you all is the clarity about, you can take up, or let's also put it this way, you're all doing it for the first time. When you're all doing it for the first time, you can also have a conversation on, am I doing a project of a company, or am I doing a project based on secondary data, or am I going and doing it a project based on a primary data? That clarity is a must. You cannot say, I will start it here, I'll also join a company, I'll do a primary data also, I'll do a secondary data also. No. If you want to do it, if there is requirement, then you can club all that. Otherwise, you cannot, you cannot do that. Let me see if I can show, one second. If I can show you some work, simple work of, just a second. So I was giving you this example. How many of you have opened the annual reports of companies already and then tried and tested any time? Yes or no? Okay. Okay, I'll just show you some.
Just seen, ma'am, financial statements of a few companies for understanding the accounts, like what will be the particulars and all.
Right. Okay. So, you can also think of, you can definitely think of seeing something like that. Now, there are also business responsibility reporting, which is part of sustainability reports, are also part of it, right? So let me show you one annual report and talk about it. Is it okay? Do you want to see, do you want to look at that and have discussion around what are the potential topics which you can take up and get into your research studies that way?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Right. One second. Okay. One second, I'm just opening the file. So I spoke to you about the art of storytelling, right? I told you about the art of, don't miss the art of storytelling, right? So, so what is the art of storytelling about a company? Why should we be happy about storytelling about a company type? Right? Why do you think we should talk about storytelling? Any idea? Sorry, where is this? Tell me quickly. The art of storytelling. How will you start a storytelling on company if you think about it?
It's
So,
background.
Yeah. So what do I call it? I start with incorporation. Storytelling is an art of incorporation. When was this company founded? Who are the founders? Right? And then I'll move on to quickly what are the products and services offered by this company. And this information I'll come out with actual details which are there published. Right? Then I'll quickly talk about, I'll not run pages and pages and call it as research. That's all published. I'm not taking that. So this I'll have it. Now, can I say what was the performance? What is the shareholding pattern? Who are the, what kind of percentages do the owners have? Right? Can I say that? So it is very important for us to look at, one second. Let me know if you are able to see my screen of Infosys.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now in this, I use Control F. Let's see. Then I look at shareholding pattern. What is this? This number alone can lead to a study on who are the founders. Is it dominated by institutional investors or normal investors? Or can I talk about other promoters leading the show? Or are there bulk deals? Where is Narayan Murthy's this thing? Or, who are the... Look at this. Nandan Nilekani. And how many shares he owns? What are the shares? What are the purchase during the year? What is the sale during the year? You can do this. And Praveen Rao, who are they? All these are people. Now, why is shares important? We can link shares to decision making, voting rights. So you take this, you look at this. Shareholding of promoters. Now, this topic I can link into family business. Other companies dominated by family business, or are they professionally run? But then if you look at it, who are these people? Rohan Murthy is Narayan Murthy's son. Akshata Murthy is Narayan Murthy's daughter. Gopal Krishnan, they're part of founders. Nandan Nilekani is also part of founders. Sudha Murthy is Narayan Murthy's wife. Then Rohini Nilekani is Nandan Nilekani's wife. Why am I telling? Because these are all major shareholders. Look at this. Right? These are all promoters, of course, promoters and their families. So you can see when they have these many shares, what are the bulks, what is the percentage, what do they add? You can have so many stories based on annual reports alone. But storytelling is, when was this company started? Who are the founders? What is this company into? What is the size and scale that the company got into? What is the current size? And then you take any topic. Suppose say you also want to talk about all these IT companies are cash rich. And then there is a buyback of companies in that, you can see. Right. Let me show you that. There is a line. Okay. 1 second. So if you, at least as commerce students, you must have the patience to open an annual report, see the contents clearly, and then you decide on and then you see, slightly get deeper and, into the bigger this thing. We cannot think of, having great jobs without action. We must know, okay, fine, what are they saying? Who are these people? Nandan Nilekani, Kiran Majumdar. So this, okay, I try to understand at least, and then say, okay, do I have the patience to do it for an industry? Industry means at least I must do 5 to 6 IT companies. But what do I want to find out from these companies? I want to understand whether these IT companies are really doing well after Trump came into existence, or Trump's government came in. Now it's Biden, of course. You don't know what's going to happen finally. Yeah, so what is the impact of currency fluctuations? Or how are the IT companies doing well? Are the IT companies affected because of COVID? What was it last year? What is this year? What is the rental cost? Are they going to save money? You can have any topic related to that. And there is tons of data is available. But be honest, be ethical. Don't copy it. Even if you take it from somewhere, make sure you mention the sources. Right? Now, number of people, look at it, how it increased. Is this the same trend across IT companies? Or while on one hand in newspaper, we are reading that people are losing jobs, while in the annual report, we are seeing that the company's number of employees have increased significantly. Is it only in India, or are they increasing these numbers in other countries where there's pressure? You take anything, you'll get ideas, but don't jump to topic without doing that research. That's what my point is. Don't take up a topic because somebody gave you the topic. You spend some time, browse certain things, look at it, and then you try and see, okay. Or in terms of clients, even in clients it is showing. Then is this the same trend across all IT companies? Number of $100 million plus clients? That's fantastic. Right? So you can take any topic, you'll have ideas, but ideas don't come just like that, right? You need to open some documents, and as commerce students, annual reports are one of the best. If you have access to somebody's organization, they're going to allow you and to have conversation about other things. That's the different thing. But otherwise, this is one important document. I don't want you to rush to primary data also. I want you as commerce students to open this document, run page after page, get some ideas, have conversations, download conceptual frameworks related to that. Then you take up a talk. Come with some 2-3 topics with to your faculty and then talk about your ideas and take it up. You can have a study on EPS. Then I'll show you on economic profit. One second. Right. So, they give you information on cost of debt, cost of equity, EVA, everything is given in this beautiful document. But that patience, you must have to figure it out. I don't think I have time to further talk about it. So I'll stop sharing this here. That's it, guys. I'll only say wish you all the best, and I try to share my views. Yeah. Yeah. All the best, and that's all. Anything else you can. Right.
Any doubts you have, ma? Students, you can clarify.
I don't know if, yeah. Just this is only to strike conversation, to make you all think that sky is the limit in the finance area. Make the most of it, and as commerce students, you should be really happy because you have the competency to get into annual reports. And that's the best thing. So please make sure you make the most of this opportunity and work on that. Never undermine importance of academic or conceptual framework while doing this study. Even if it's a small research report by undergrads, yeah, benchmark with the best. That's my last sentence. Benchmark with the best. That's it. Wish you all the best.
Thank you, ma'am. You covered all the areas and had given a clear picture how to go about the research projects, ma'am. I definitely say that this session will be helpful to our students. Now I request Sumitra ma'am to give a vote of thanks.
Yeah, good afternoon, everyone. I, Dr. Sumitra Pujari, Assistant Professor, Department of Commerce, feel honored and privileged to propose the formal vote of thanks. I would like to thank our resource person for the day, Professor Sridevi ma'am, who has accepted our invitation and dedicated her time, valuable time, and shared vast knowledge on various aspects of research projects. Thank you, ma'am, for motivating our students to take up a fantastic approach and to explore towards various areas of interest, and also importance of collecting data through secondary source, through financial statements of annual reports, company annual reports. I also thank ma'am for enlightening us on steps to be followed in selecting the research topic, the benefits of doing research, throwing light on business research and factors by taking up various examples. Ma'am, I also thank you for focusing on literature review and trying to link to the present problem. Thank you, ma'am, for encouraging our students to take up projects based on real-time problem and projects based on primary data and on behavioral aspects, and focusing on importance of having 4 important traits, that is knowledge, skill, attitude, and competency. I thank our principal and Reverend Father Marreddy Garu for his support and guidance. I also thank our HOD, Dr. Srilata, for coordinating for the event, and Faculty of Commerce and students for attending it. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Yeah. So, yeah.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you once again for this opportunity. Guys, dear students, you can always refer good books, but read the best book. One is, first entry-level book is your Kotari, but I don't want, then you get tired and then you will really not take it up seriously. So that's what I want you to do parallelly. Have a reference document for how to go about, but also have your concept-related documents, okay? Wish you all the best and do well, and I hope to see some wonderful project reports, and I would like to hear this later once you all submit from Dr. Srilata. Yeah,
Sure,
thank you so
ma'am.
much.
Sure, ma'am.
Thank
Okay.
you. Yeah.
Bye, ma'am.
Bye.
So I'll just show you what envelope. Here there will be very